here.
Okay.
And I think it's about 1.5 hours. Will be long discussion, probably 45 minutes with me, 30 minutes with Zoom chat,
Okay.
and then probably I'll read some from YouTube live question,
Okay.
and it takes 15 minutes.
Okay.
130 minutes, so, but normally it's live. But if you think that something not, so
No,
just
whatever,
let me know.
whatever.
Okay?
Di mana duduknya Pak Oni? Di mana kan?
Be here? I will be here.
Okay. Maybe you can help. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you have the.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. This supposed to be informal discussion
Okay.
because I'm not a journalist,
Yes.
and this is also, it's not an official, it's not
Yeah,
broadcast,
yeah,
just what they call concerned global citizen.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
and first, thank you that you making time for us to have the discussion. Of course, there will be some issue that need to be considered, but first, let me declare our association, our group. So our group is actually alumni, university alumni graduate from overseas, mainly who was graduate, was sent 80 to 90 by President B.J. Habibie, and then 4,000 people that graduate, but now we become 5,000. So mostly are Indonesia. I think another 20% is diaspora in other parts of the world. But please remain the discussion. Sorry, apologize for this. And we have the discussion in the internet. Some people still live abroad, and of course the issue of Russia and Ukraine is also issue of around the world. I see the participant is also came from other part of the world, and before I ask you more difficult question, I ask you about easy question. What happened today? Today is Ibu kita Kartini, Hari Ibu Kartini.
Ah, okay.
It's very important day for Indonesia.
I know.
Yeah. So how long have you been in
4
Indonesia?
years.
4 years.
4 years.
So you speak Bahasa then?
No, unfortunately, I speak Lao and Thai.
Oh, so before you came here, you've been posted in that country.
I've been posted to Malaysia.
Yes.
For 5 years. I was ambassador to Malaysia. Then before that, I worked in Thailand and Laos for 15 years.
Wow.
I speak Lao. I spent 28 years in Southeast Asia. I grew up in Bangkok as a child. My parents were diplomats.
Wow.
And then in Laos. And then I studied Lao and Thai languages at the university in Russia. And then I went to work in Laos. I had 3 postings in Laos. I got married in Laos. To a Russian person. Then I was transferred to Bangkok, then Malaysia, now Indonesia finally.
So there is nothing new for you about Indonesia then?
Oh no.
And so
of
it's
course.
Asia also?
No. Indonesia is very different
From other part of Southeast Asia?
Absolutely. And for me, Indonesia was love at first sight. I immediately fell in love with Indonesia as soon as
Thank
I
you.
came. Beautiful country and very nice people.
What place that have you visited?
Oh, many. I've even
Not only Bali, huh?
No.
Okay.
Bali, of course.
Of course,
Bali,
yeah.
of course. But apart from Bali, there's so many wonderful places. Well, actually, all places in Indonesia are wonderful. I was in Kalimantan twice. I visited Sumatra several times. I was in Banda Aceh, Nias Island, Medan, Lake Toba, Lampung province. I was in Sulawesi 3 times,
Toraja, wow.
Makassar, and Kendari. I was where else? Well, in Jawa, of course.
So
And
basically
yes,
you've been in 34 what you call, province.
Not
No,
all.
no.
Not all.
So you need to visit that.
More.
Yeah.
More.
What you know about Ibu Kartini?
Well, I know it's a symbol of women empowerment, I
That's
would
correct.
say.
That's correct. It's hero. It's female empowerment. So if you see what happened in Indonesia, normally female is really the same. How you call equity or the same right as the male.
Yes.
So in every position, it's the same. Probably 50%. Basically, there is no glass ceiling
Yeah.
for female.
Yeah, we see Ibu Retno Marsudi.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
She is a very good example.
And Bu Sri Mulyani also.
Yes, and also Ibu Puan Maharani.
Ibu Puan Maharani.
Of course, Ibu Megawati.
Ibu Megawati.
Yeah.
My super boss.
Yeah. You know, in Russia, we never had a female president or a female minister of foreign affairs. You are much more advanced than
Yeah,
Russia
yeah.
is.
But you should be the next. I do not know. Is that okay? So you know, if you think you can compare what happened with the female empowerment in Russia and in Indonesia.
Well, I think we share many similar traditions in Russia and Indonesia. If you look at the formal side,
Yeah.
you are much advanced. You have more. You had the president. But in fact, in Russia also, we enjoy this gender equality, and it's also a heritage of the Soviet Union. Because in the Soviet Union, women's rights were very much promoted.
Yep.
And I think we don't really have this problem in Russia. There is no glass ceiling as well.
There's no glass ceiling.
No, we have a lady. She's the Speaker of our Parliament,
It's also female.
female. We have deputy prime ministers, ladies. We have members of cabinet, ladies. We have the biggest number of female top managers in business in Europe. So in Russia, women are very active.
How many diplomats like you?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is quite conservative. We have only 2 female ambassadors right now.
But you are probably the one and only that have already posted as ambassador for 3 times?
Twice,
Twice.
yes.
Malaysia and Indonesia.
Malaysia, Indonesia, yes.
So you are also familiar with our religion then?
Of course, yes. I'm not Muslim myself.
Yeah,
I'm Russian Orthodox. But
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is interesting because today is Ramadan,
Yes.
and I know one of the issue on the Russia and Ukraine, it's about religion for us. Because if you see what happened with the official position of the government, they support the motion in United Nations, but they couldn't abstain on the human rights.
Human Rights Council. Yeah.
But of course, you will see, I'm not a pollster, but you see in the social media, I think one of the issues that, I say 50-50, but I'm not an official pollster.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons is because, probably it's because of the issue of religion. So it's like, I seen Czechia president give support to
Yes,
President
absolutely.
Putin. And
Absolutely.
Indonesian country, I just read a couple days ago, President Putin take a phone call with the president of Palestine.
Yes, but
Mahmoud Abbas, if
yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken,
He's
yeah.
the leader of the Palestine.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. In Russia, we have 20 million Muslims,
Hmm?
which are not migrants. They are people who have been living in Russia for centuries, and next month, actually, we will be celebrating 1,100th anniversary of Islam coming to Russia.
1,100. So it's older than our country then.
Absolutely. Islam came to Russia much earlier than it came to Southeast Asia. So we have people in Tatarstan, in Chechnya, in Dagestan, in Bashkortostan. We have 9 regions in Russia who are predominantly Muslim. Of course, Chechnya, you all know Chechnya, but there are 8 others, including Tatarstan, which is the most developed. So next month, in the capital of Tatarstan, Kazan, we will be celebrating this anniversary, and we have invited some people from Indonesia to attend. We are waiting for a response of their wishes.
So how you consider Indonesia as a person? You see,
I love Indonesia.
no, because typical Western says normally Indonesia is like is try to avoid conflict, a bit shy.
Yes, but I think it's quite a reasonable position. Why would you want to get involved in a conflict? Actually, we do appreciate the position of your government, quite balanced one. We were disappointed when your government, Indonesia, joined the co-sponsored the General Assembly resolution condemning the war in Ukraine. But you know what? First of all, we understand there was a very big pressure from other countries. Also, there's an information war going on against Russia. You know, all these fakes, all the accusations, all this. And in the information war, there are parts of the war, parties in the war, and they're victims of this information war. So many countries became victims of this information war because they, at first, they didn't have the understanding of the real causes of this conflict. But you will notice that not a single Muslim country actually joined the sanctions against Russia.
I think that's also need to be more analyzed in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But see, not many people understand what is the root cause of the conflict. What is the root cause of it?
Okay, how much time?
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Well, this conflict actually is not about Ukraine. Ukraine is a victim, unfortunately.
It's not about Ukraine.
It's not about Ukraine, of course. Ukraine is the victim in this situation, and it's an instrument. We see Ukrainians in Russia as our brothers and sisters. They are practically the same as us. There is no hatred or animosity against Ukrainians in Russian society. We pity them because they became a victim of the Western policies against Russia. They are being used by the United States and their allies to attack Russia.
This is a NATO issue. It's not Western in general, right?
No, I mean West as a European Union and United States. I mean United States and its allies. So if you ask me why they want to attack Russia, the answer is very simple, because we don't agree with their right to dominate the world.
Right to dominate the world?
Absolutely, because for centuries the West has been dominating the world, and they think that they have the right to impose their agenda and the order that they want to create for all the countries to follow. Thus, there is this concept of rules-based world order. We don't agree with it because who will be people who are writing these rules? Is it Russia? No. Is it China? No. Is it Indonesia? No. It's United States and their allies. Why do we have to follow the rules that are being written by someone else? And we didn't participate in writing these rules. We have international law, we have UN Charter, but we participated in establishing this. Why do we need another set of rules? They do need, because they want to preserve their global dominance and to be able to promote their interests. That's what we don't agree with. Every country has the right to ensure their interests, their security, but not at the detriment of others. we need our interests and security also to be taken into consideration. That's what the West was refusing to do. And it's not just, we are just, having fantasies and we're not living in a real world. No, we are. Because the world is now in a period of transition from a unipolar world to multipolar. Because you can see quite clearly that there's new center of powers emerging in this world. There is China, there is Russia, there is India, there is ASEAN, including Indonesia, there the Latin American countries. But the West, they don't agree. Because in this new world, they will be just equal. That's the ideal. They will be just equal partner with other countries that will be equal. That's what they don't want to be. They don't need equal partners. They want vassals that they can give orders to.
Vassal, what's a vassal?
Vassal is a servant. Someone
okay.
you can give order to. So Ukraine in this situation is being used by the West to serve as a political and military instrument against Russia. And they are not independent, of course. The government in Kiev, they are not having their own policies. They are just following the orders from Washington and Brussels. And it's against the interest of their own people, because there is no interest from Ukraine from Ukrainian people to be, fighting with Russians in this situation. It's against their interest, but the West is fueling. They're sending arms. They're pushing Ukraine to, make this situation last. Because we see no intention from the Ukrainian side to reach an agreement with Russia. So that is the situation. If you want more proof, I can give you, but I've exhausted my 5 minutes.
No, but yeah, okay. Actually, of course, you can do that, but I'm still doing this because it will be launched in 2 channels. YouTube. One is my personal channel, one is this channel. And then of course in the Zoom chat and in the Zoom meeting. But the issue, what you mentioned previously, I thought I've been discussing by several ambassadors, and I thought that neutrality is the main issue. But now I see it looks like the issue become in the next level of stage global power or global orders. That's the impression that I get.
Absolutely, because now actually we're seeing how those who want to preserve this situation when they are promoting their own interest and economic prosperity, actually, and economic interest. The West actually, well, in the sense that we've identified.
I understand. I think I understand that.
Identified. For centuries, they based their own prosperity on exploitation of other countries. Even in Indonesia, you know that better than many other countries, because they pumped natural resources from the countries. They exploited the labor in these countries, and now it has changed, but they want to preserve it, this situation, and with the other countries that want to, have equal partnership, equal kind of relations with the Western countries. Again, the values. The values that the Europe, say, is now promoting, I don't agree with them. And I know that Indonesia doesn't agree with them. And by values, I mean something that is more precious than a human life. For instance, religion. Where is the place of religion in the Western society? Practically nowhere. It's not relevant.
Yeah.
Family.
It's about religion. It's interesting.
Family values. Where are the family values in Europe? LGBT agenda, we don't agree with that. Okay, we're not homophobic. Whatever you do, you can do in your house, but why promote this agenda so aggressively as a norm? For instance, I have a daughter, she's married, and I don't want my grandchildren to have parent one, parent two. I want them to have mother and father. Our society is a traditional one. We, in this sense, we're closer to the Muslim world, of course. In Islam, you have very well defined values. Or, for instance, we don't put our parents in homes. It's not looked well upon in our society. We take care of our children. Our grandfathers and grandmothers take care of their grandchildren. So family values are very important for us. Religion is very important for us. And these values are destroyed in the West. And they use human rights as a weapon to attack other countries.
No.
So it's a matter of global transformation.
So, like this country, it's normally it's conservative family, like with
Yeah.
tradition, religions, family. But I know in developed country, some modern country, normally it become more liberal. Is that what you try to
Absolutely,
say?
but liberal is a very mild word to describe what is happening. Because sometimes it's absolutely unacceptable what kind of values are being promoted. Of course, tolerance is great, but there is limit to anything.
But this your statement is more on philosophical or
But
ideological.
But it is what is happening actually.
So it's not about military. It's not about.
It's not only about that, of course. Actually, the military option is always the worst. No one can argue with that. War is bad. How can you argue with that? War is bad. In Russia, we know that very well. You know that we lost 27 million lives in World War II. We know what war is. Actually, we saved Europe from fascism, from Nazi ideology. We liberated Europe from fascism. But sometimes you have to take drastic measures in order to prevent something worse from happening. So that's the reason of this military operation.
This is interesting because this country, your country, is the winner of the World War II. It's like United States, and I lived in Europe during 1890s. It's Cold War and then Perestroika, Glasnost, Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
And of course, issue of Cold War, Western and how you call at the time was NATO and Fakta Warsaw.
Warsaw Pact.
Yeah, Warsaw. Yeah, that's in Indonesian language.
Yeah.
So Indonesia, I think, tried not to take a stand on that issue because according to the constitution, we need to be free and active.
Yes.
Free and active in terms of international relations.
We respect that.
Yeah, and that's why Indonesia didn't take stance, what they call the non-bloc alliance. I know it's more difficult today because, like you mentioned, it's not about military power. Sometimes it's also economic power. And then you touch about issue of prosperity, and for me, it's about surprising fact because I thought that we will discuss on what happened in Ukraine because of the neutrality and the NATO, and Indonesia will say that's what happened. Europe is like 1,000 kilometers from here. We just don't. We love peace. We please try to resolve the negotiation process and anything that we can do. But then now is issue. It's about what they call. I think it's class of civilization.
Yes.
Meaning
basically, yes, it is. It's a transformation of the world order.
So it's like there is no one hegemony, there is no Western hegemony. There will be, I don't know, probably Russia, China.
No, we are not.
Indonesia is not.
No, we're not seeking hegemony. The big difference between this new raising, I will not speak about China,
Yeah.
but China is our strategic partner, of course. But I'm speaking about Russia. We were never seeking hegemony. It's not what we need. We want to live in peace and in cooperation with all our partners, but in an equal way. We don't want to take orders from Washington or Brussels. We are a great country. We're the biggest country in the world. We have everything. We have energy. We have food. We are self-sufficient in food products. We have a very well-educated population. We have a developed industry. We have everything. Why should we take orders from someone who doesn't care about Russians or Ukrainians? The only thing that they care is about their own prosperity. So I think it's quite logical. If you want to even explore the deeper causes, we go back 30 years ago. The collapse of the Soviet Union.
1990, yes.
Yes, 1991, and even earlier. In 1989, President Gorbachev agreed that we will not oppose the reunification of Germany. You lived in Europe, you know that.
SLT?
Huh?
What's the convention?
Reunification of Germany.
Yeah.
After World War II, as a result of World War II, Germany was separated in two countries.
Yes.
And we had our troops in eastern part of Germany.
Yeah.
In 1989, Gorbachev agrees with President Bush that Germany can reunite and we will withdraw troops from eastern Germany. In response, NATO and the Warsaw Pact, after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, was dissolved. In return, NATO will commit not to expand towards our borders. Okay? Gorbachev asks Bush to sign an agreement. Bush says, no, you believe our word. So we withdraw troops from Eastern Germany. We commit to our obligation. Germany reunites, but United States and NATO, they don't fulfill their promises. Actually, they lied, because from 1999 to 2022, there were 5 rounds of expansion of NATO. 5 rounds. So NATO was coming closer and closer to the border of Russia. It's not we that were going to Mexico, Canada, and putting our missiles there. No, it's the NATO that was coming closer and closer to Russia. And the red line for us was Ukraine to become member of NATO. And Zelensky just declared that Ukraine has the intention to become member of NATO, and everyone said yes, we also in the future. But for us, it's a red line. And it's also very easy to understand. If you look at the map, Ukraine is a very big country. It's the biggest country in the Europe after Russia. It's bigger than France. We have a 2,000 kilometers border with Ukraine. If NATO brings its infrastructure to the border with Russia, 2 minutes missiles hit Moscow. Can we feel not threatened by that? Of course. And how can we consider NATO to be a defense alliance? It's not. It's an aggressive pact. And we've seen numerous examples of that. You remember what they did in Yugoslavia in 1999? They bombed the country for 78 days. They destroyed the civilian infrastructure. Around 3,000 people died. They used depleted uranium bombs in Yugoslavia. It's not nuclear, but it's depleted uranium, which causes cancer. So if you're not killed by the bomb, you and your children will have cancer. And now there is a very high rate of cancer in Serbia because of these bombings in 1999. Where are the sanctions? Where is this hysterical reaction, Okay, Yugoslavia, then Iraq. You remember this fake proof that there was a weapon of
mass
destruction? Then they actually acknowledged that there was no such thing in Iraq. You know how many civilians were killed in Iraq by NATO? Around 1 million.
1 million?
Around, there are different estimates from 600,000 to 1 million. Where is the hysterical reaction of the international community? Why is no one applying sanctions and saying that Bush is a war criminal? He was indeed. War criminal, Tony Blair is a war criminal. No such things. Just killing people in Iraq, and it's okay. Then Libya, killing Gaddafi. Okay, Gaddafi was not the most democratic of leaders, but Libya was prospering under Gaddafi. The social security level, I wish we had such a system. Country completely destroyed, thousands of people killed. Then comes Syria. They tried to do the same thing in Syria, we protected Syria. Afghanistan, 20 years in Afghanistan. Okay, why is no one being hysterical about Israel attacking Palestine? Where are these sanctions? Where is this hysterical reaction? Where is this accusation of war crimes? Why is that? Because Ukrainians are Europeans, and those who died in Iraq and Afghanistan are not Europeans. So what kind of human rights or democracy is that? Or it's a double standard? That's what I mean. We don't agree with the world order that allows such thing to happen. Because what they want is to control the world, so they can do whatever they want. The recent statement by Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, that he will not sit at the same table with the leader of the country that invaded other countries. Who's he talking about? Biden? You know that in the recent 30 years, United States attacked military around 30 countries.
But Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, I think is not metaphorically saying he must be pointed to one particular country, because he's talking about at present, right?
Yes, he was talking about Putin, but in response, why he's not mentioning Biden or he's not mentioning Boris Johnson?
Because Australia is a line of the...
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
Okay,
because this is a blatant example of double standards. That's what I mean, that we don't agree with this world order. Again, the military option, of course, it's not the best one. It was a very hard decision by President Putin, but we are protecting ourselves. We are protecting the independence and the security of our country, which is being attacked. Of course, United States and Europe, they don't want to confront Russia directly, because it will mean what?
No.
World War III, nuclear.
Should not happen.
Of course.
Because that's what I think other part of the world that didn't want. And that's a responsibility of United States and Russia.
Yes, but...
because we are not... because it's more difficult than previous. I thought we should resolve the issue of Ukraine.
No,
but now it's
not about Ukraine. It's about the Western hegemony, basically.
Because last time I thought the negotiation is about Russia and Ukraine.
We're ready to negotiate with Ukrainians, but now we see that they have no intention to reach an agreement because Washington and Brussels don't allow them. Because they want this conflict to last. That's it. Look, if you analyze a conflict, you need to find out who will benefit. Who will be the winner? Who is benefiting by this crisis? Russia? Mm-mm. Yes, in a sense that when the operation will be completed, and it will be completed.
But
take
my
my
country,
word.
I think Indonesia will not benefit.
Absolutely. Russia, we will benefit in a sense that we will feel secure.
I understand that.
But
I
we
understand
will have a lot of losses. I mean, human lives, first of all, also economically. Ukraine, of course, not. Loss of human lives, destruction of infrastructure, military,
that. And the economic sanction.
Yeah.
And now changing the world order.
Europe, not really, because economic sanctions are hurting them.
Yeah.
Who will benefit? United States. United States, because what they will at the end, what they're trying to do is to tear Europe away from Russia and to make Europe totally dependent on the United States, both military and economically. So basically the only country that will benefit from this situation is the United States. And they are fueling this conflict as much as possible.
So you pointed to the United States that will take profit on what happened.
Absolutely, and they are because European Union is very tightly economically related. We have tight economic relations with the European Union. They are very dependent on oil and gas from Russia. United States, no. So United States are trying to sell the much more expensive gas to Europe. It will be much more expensive. Of course, Europe is not willing to buy. But if all these economic sanctions are applied and Russia is being portrayed as a very bad guy, they have no other option but to turn to the United States.
You see that United States take profit on this situation.
Absolutely.
But President Putin who started this, only United States who take profit. Or President Putin do this because intentionally done by Ukraine was motivated by United States. That's okay.
Yes, because we were pushed into this situation. We didn't want that. We were trying to resolve this crisis by peaceful means for 8 years after 2014. 8 years we've been trying to resolve this crisis by peaceful means.
Because
no way.
I consider myself as concerned global citizen, meaning the issue of what happened there should be resolved as soon as possible.
That's our wish too.
And of course, my country, I think, is not a big player like your country or United States, but it's our responsibility to resolve. And the question is how, because if it seems to me it's more difficult than it looks.
It is by not supporting the Western policies, and we're appreciative that you haven't joined sanctions, that you've abstained during the vote at the Human Rights Council. And please don't. It's not I'm not now giving you the official position of my government. It's my own thoughts. That in this situation, sooner or later, every country will have to choose a side. Not the side, but what kind of future this country would like for its own people. A future where every country has a say in the global system of international relations. Or a future when you have to take orders from a third country and just follow the policies that very often is against your own interest. That would be the choice. That's what we are trying to avoid. We have our own interest. We want to be independent in the real sense of this word. So our government can act in the interest of our own people and not in the interest of the people of some third country.
Agree. Because it seems to me what happened, I think, after World War II is like bipolar, what happened in the world.
Absolutely.
But now probably it's going to be, you resist on the one polar, probably it's multipolar, meaning
yes.
There will be a lot of your country, China, Europe, United States, or other line country, or maybe Mexico, Brazil, India. I think that's what happened. But I think since you are a diplomat, and of course your country is famous of chess player, that you can do step calculating what happened in the next step. So what will be step of your country, United States,
Well,
in the next
I'm
the
not.
next 1 year?
Oh, I don't know. I cannot tell you that. I can tell you what will happen with Ukraine. We will complete our operation in Ukraine. That's.
So it's done.
No, we will. It's going on. It's going on. But we will complete. We will reach the targets that have been identified by our president. That's for sure. Maybe a little bit later, maybe a little bit, sooner, but it will be completed, and we will ensure our security and our sovereignty. And on the economic sanctions, we've learned our lessons also, that actually we cannot trust our Western partners, because with all these sanctions, they are absolutely legitimate. There is no law in the world that can allow this kind of things happen, because the only body in the world that can impose sanctions is the Security Council. What is happening now, it's absolutely, unreasonable from because they are hurting themselves. They are destroying the trade system that has been created for decades. They are destroying the supply chains in the world. All the countries, including Indonesia, can feel that. It's not because of what we're doing in Ukraine. It's what the West is doing by applying these sanctions. They thought, okay, what is the goal of the sanctions?
To change the position of
The
Russia.
government.
Yeah.
To change the position of the government. True. If you look in the history, has it ever changed the position of any country? We're not the first country that the sanctions have been applied against.
But today probably, supposed to be affected more than the previous one because of the scales. And I just read economic global perspective for next year. I think done by Indonesian Central Bank, the government central bank, that the global projection previously 4.2 something percent, but now it's like 3.2%.
Say thank you to the United States and their allies.
Yeah, but the 1% was affected because of COVID, and of course because of what happened there.
Yeah.
And of course because of the responsibility of the whole country that cannot resolve this, because it's supposed to be. And what happened? There will be some job loss in other part of the world.
Look, the sanctions would have been applied nevertheless. The situation in Ukraine or no situation in Ukraine, the sanctions would have been applied, because in the last 8 years we've seen more and more and more sanctions. Maybe they would have been introduced more gradually, but they would have been applied in any case. So I want to continue my idea that we're not the first country that sanctions have been applied against. Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, Soviet Union. For 70 years we've been under sanctions. And so
Soviet Union for what?
Soviet Union was under sanctions for 70 years.
I didn't follow. What happened during the Soviet Union era? Was sanctioned by who?
By the West. We were always under sanctions. Have you heard about the Iron Curtain? It was
Iron Curtain. Okay, yeah. Understand.
It was sanctions too.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Soviet Union was a superpower. So and we are.
But it's not an economic sanction. Is it
economic sanctions as
it's
well?
Not political. No.
Political, economic sanctions. We were in the Soviet Union. I was born in the Soviet Union. We were under sanctions. So has it ever made change? The government, its policy, never, ever. So the real intention is actually to hurt the people. So probably they will revolt and change the government, okay? If you heard the people, they're not happy with the economic situation, they will try to change the government. What kind of policies are there? What is democratic or, where human rights in this that the West is trying to make everyone believe that they care about? It's not true, of course. They don't care about people.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the sanctions. Our economy turned out to be quite resilient.
Yeah, you play energy sector,
Yeah.
military sector.
Yeah.
Soviet
Yeah.
Union is big
So
country.
of course, I'm not telling
Oh,
you.
sorry, Russia.
Russia. Yeah. Of course, I'm not telling that the sanctions will not hurt. They will, but we will overcome. We will adjust. What our government is doing now is working out measures to adapt our economy to this new situation. And of course, we're not isolated. Whatever they are saying. We have China, which is our partner. We have ASEAN countries who are partners. India didn't join the sanctions. We have Latin American. We have Middle East, not a single Muslim country joined the sanctions. African countries. Europe and United States, Canada, Australia is not the whole world. Even not the majority of the world. So how can you isolate or suffocate such a country as Russia? We're the biggest country in the world in terms of territory. It's impossible.
I understand. Got the message. I got the message, of course. Yes, your country is big country. There will be, it's difficult, meaning new normal and new equilibrium. That's wow. Because I think as soon as like life back to normal, but now your projection, it will be new equilibrium.
We hope so. We hope so. Because our president was very clear in saying that we had no other option because, first of all, we need to protect the people of Lugansk and Donetsk. If you want me to tell you the story about what is this cause, I will, but it will take some time.
I know about what happened. I read what happened in Lugansk, but then I understand that the Russian army is now withdraw from Kiev. Is that because already some military operation divide, it's already success, and then came back to eastern part of
Donetsk, Lugansk, yes.
Yeah.
You see, okay, we go back a little bit. In 2014, there was a change in regime.
Yes.
And it was a coup d'etat, actually, supported by the West and staged by the West. And as a result of this coup d'etat, a very Russophobic government came to power, Poroshenko. Yanukovych was ousted, and Poroshenko came to power. And immediately it was clear after that this government is not an independent player. They are just following the rules that are set by Brussels and Washington. And what they were starting to do immediately is to press Russians in Ukraine. And Ukraine is, every Ukrainian can speak Russian. Maybe around 50% of Ukrainians are Russian, ethnic Russians. They are Russian, Ukrainian, but
yes, I read that.
And how can you, for instance, try to introduce a law banning Russian language? It's like banning French in Belgium or
France,
in English in Ireland, or I don't know, Japanese in Java, in Indonesia. Impossible. So and also there in Ukraine at that time there were 3 regions that were predominantly Russian. It's Crimea. It's Lugansk and Donetsk. Population 90% Russian. And of course, they didn't agree with these policies. And they started to protest. But instead of trying to solve this situation by, compromise, by working out some measures, Kiev chose a military option, and they sent troops to Lugansk and Donetsk. With Crimea, it voted, there was a referendum, and the population of Crimea voted in favor of going back to Russia. And Crimea was always Russian. And we protected Crimea. But Lugansk and Donetsk, they proclaimed independence, and Ukraine, Kiev, sent its troops. For 8 years, there was a war in Lugansk and Donetsk. Where is the hysterical reaction of the West? People were being killed every day by Ukrainians. 14,000 people died. Where are the sanctions against Ukraine? Where are all this, hysteria, war crimes? They were war crimes committed there every day by Ukrainian army. Nothing. Because they said that Kiev has the right to, these are separatists, they have the right to military get back this region. Okay, another example of double standards. So the West was okay with Kiev trying to retrieve this two separatist region by force. Okay, no problem with that. What about China and Taiwan? So Kiev has the right to use military force to retrieve Lugansk and Donetsk, but China doesn't have the right to use military force to retrieve Taiwan.
Because Taiwan, it's become part of the other alliance? Is it what you mean? Okay.
It's just double standard. It's situation is basically the same,
but Taiwan is a country, right? It's recognized by UN?
No.
It's not recognized.
No.
Okay.
Even the
I'm not the diplomat. I'm not the diplomat.
Even the United States don't recognize Taiwan as an independent country. It's one China policy.
Okay, I've been in Taiwan. I'm using my passport, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Couple years back.
No,
yeah.
not
Okay.
with the exception. I don't know. Maybe just some small island state of the Pacific recognize, but United States, no. European Union, they don't recognize Taiwan as an independent country. Okay, it's just
So
it's going back to
doing that parallel, meaning China and Taiwan is like Crimea and Ukraine.
Like
so it doesn't
Kiev
have a
and
right. Yeah. Kyiv doesn't.
Kiev has the right,
Yeah. Okay.
and China doesn't have the
Okay,
right.
that's
So
your
where is the
point.
logic? Where is the
Okay.
logic? No logic. Okay. So for 8 years there was a war going on. For 8 years, Russia has tried to solve this crisis by peaceful means. We initiated the Minsk agreements in 2014 to
Means one and means two. Yes.
We initiated this agreement.
Yeah.
We tried to help to solve this problem inside Ukraine, because Kiev thought that these regions were still part of Ukraine. So the Minsk agreements provide a very clear way how to solve this situation, to solve this crisis inside Ukraine. For instance, Kiev should have adopted a law on autonomous status of these two regions. It is in the Minsk agreements, but Kiev never followed these Minsk agreements. For 8 years, we tried to push Kiev to stop attacking Lugansk and Donetsk, their own people actually. It was a civil war. And they refused, and they accused us of breaching the Minsk agreements while we were not part of these agreements. And we were urging the West also to push Kiev to fulfill these agreements. No result. People were still dying. And now it's information that we have from our Minister of Defense that, on the contrary, Kiev in March was planning a massive attack on Donetsk and Lugansk and Crimea.
Months ago.
Massive attack, yeah. It's already after this. There were plans for Kiev to attack
On March.
last month,
So that's why.
Lugansk and Donetsk and Crimea. Imagine if Kiev attacked Crimea, it would have been brought a lot of bloodshed and victims, much more than we see now. So by this operation, we are trying to prevent a bigger conflict from happening. And Unfortunately, the West is fueling, is pouring oil in this fire by providing arms, by training Ukrainian army. There's a lot. We already see so many foreign instructors and mercenaries in Ukraine. So they are trying to fuel this conflict more and more, especially the United States. So who is the benefit? Who will benefit again?
Okay. I think I got the message. I live in Asia, in Indonesia, it's part of Asia, and Europe, it's a bit far from us. And I thought,
But you're
It's so-
affected.
yeah, that's why. Should be done or resolved by the European, but then effect is around the world. And now we dragging into the situation, lot of the discussion, and should be. I do not know, that's what. And now, Indonesia, by constitution, there have to be free and active participation on issue of international relations. So it's our constitution.
Yes, we know.
And because of that, there is a G20
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
And I know G20 probably one of the most important meeting other than the United Nations. Only G20 is an economic issue only, and Indonesian government is the chair or president for this meeting. And since you understand the Indonesian cultures, normally we don't want to have a conflict, get with harmony and bit side in international podium. So you live here for years, understand Indonesian cultures. What do you think is the best move forward with this risk of changing world order, multipolar issue,
Well,
at the same time 1% decrease in global growth?
well, I think G20, and we do agree absolutely with the position of Indonesia. G20 is the perfect place, actually, to discuss all the global economic and financial issues. How to prevent the decrease, how to recover, how to strengthen the healthcare system, how to have this digital transformation, how to have this energy transition. We support all the priorities of the G20 presidency of Indonesia. We've been supporting it from the very first day. And also what is very important for us is that the Indonesia is representing the voice of developing countries.
Yeah.
Because developing countries also need to have a say in what is happening in the world, not just the G7, group. Everyone has the right to have a say and its interest to be taken into account. So we really we support what Indonesia is doing as the president of it. So when not the majority, the minority of G20 members are trying to drag Ukrainian crisis into agenda of the G20, what will be the added value of that? It will divert the attention from solving this very important global issues to discussions that will not lead to anything. We really support that G20 should focus on economic issues. The politics, the security is for Security Council, UN Security Council, the UN. G20 Economic Forum. We should concentrate on Economic Forum. If you ask me about the boycott, the threats of boycotting the G20 by other countries, not coming to G20 meetings,
Some countries
yeah.
give a signal that they don't want
they
to.
don't want to come. If Russia comes, okay, again, you may not agree with what we are doing in Ukraine, okay, but how will it help to solve anything by not coming,
Agree.
not participating?
This is the opportunity. At least you use the opportunity.
Absolutely, at least, discuss make your opinion known.
Maybe not success, but at least try.
Yeah, at least
you have the
try.
only once
Okay.
a year, right?
Okay, yeah.
Agree.
But also focus on the economic issues.
But that's difficult because economic and political issue is intertwined.
Absolutely, but still you can really, what
Okay.
I'm saying, if you just want to accuse,
Yeah, agree.
then no point in coming.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss in a constructive way the economic situation,
agree.
that's another
So
story.
you need to have some face-to-face meeting like this and discuss, probably be how you call it, multi-country, big country, and this is the opportunity. So probably behind the door, I do not know, but that's the best way that we can have this year. Probably next year is different happens. I agree, and I think our country, Indonesia, my country, probably, I'm not sure because normally the citizen will leave to the Indonesian government to decide what will be the priority. But it seems to me when I read the media, it's like what we have discussed. There will be invitation, people come because that's their right, some discussion, and of course it's calculated risk for both sides. Indonesia, because it's duty to invite, also for they are not guests, they are also have the right to come. And I really look forward to what happened in November or October this year, and it seems to me everything is more clearer. I hope within 1 more month to come, they will be more clear. And actually, I really expect about the negotiation process, what happened already, how many times?
Five rounds. We are in negotiation process online with the Ukrainians, but it's going on.
So online. So it's previously, I read it, that's
It was offline in
Turkey.
Istanbul, but there were some meetings online as well. But the problem is that we don't see the intention from Ukrainian side to reach an agreement.
Why is not President Putin and President Zelensky doing online?
Because before the presidents meet, there should be some results from the negotiation.
Because that is the use of negotiation. You can fight, you can discuss this.
Absolutely, but
military oppression,
absolutely, but
lives.
you are right. But before our presidents, President Zelensky and President Putin meet, there should be a result. What they will discuss,
So you mean the agenda is not stated here?
Yeah, the agenda is there, but there should be some points of
Converge.
Yeah, of convergence. Yeah, but if there are not yet reached, what the presidents can discuss, because it's not only now, but whenever the presidents, the leaders meet, there is a preparation for these meetings. It's not that the presidents meet and they just start to argue, and to the meetings. If you want, if it's just meeting, for the sake of the meeting, that's okay. But it's not the way it's done with the leaders of the countries. They need to have something to, to approve.
But is that the typical job of diplomat?
Yes.
To do this
but we have a delegation and our diplomats are participating. Yeah.
I read the news that some president call President Putin,
Yeah.
also some president call President Zelensky.
Yeah.
But how come it's not just I facilitate mediation using 3-call meeting by phone or by Zoom meeting for it? Because it's your country responsibility and also Ukraine responsibility.
Tell that to the Ukrainians, please.
Because Indonesia is not, but of course it's not everybody responsibility, because otherwise our world it's become more difficult.
Absolutely, but first of all, it's responsibility to our own people, to Russian people, because we don't want to be threatened. We don't want to. Again, it all comes to, we are protecting our country, basically. We're protecting our sovereignty, our independence, because if we don't protect it, we will be attacked we will be destroyed by the West, and that's what we don't want to happen.
I do believe that your country, your president has a higher approval rate.
Oh yes.
I think
Yes.
President
Yes,
Zelensky
very
also high
high.
approval rate, meaning that there is no, so there is a move forward. That's what I thought. But then it's responsibility of leader try to resolve, because they have a bigger responsibility, bigger power, have a bigger responsibility.
I think our president, he is very well aware of that.
Yeah, actually, your President Putin, is, I think, in my country, in Indonesia, is well known.
Yes.
One of the reasons it's because the Ura video. You understand, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a month ago. There is a viral video about Ura,
Yeah.
and maybe I don't know. Maybe you following what's happening in the
Yeah.
media. Actually, basically, President Putin gave a speech,
Yeah.
but then we talk about what happened in Indonesia. It's about the palm oil, the cooking oil scarcity in Indonesia, and it's very funny, and everybody understand the message. So I think watch million people, but then that's why the reason I understand that it's supposed to be in this country is like 50-50. Previously, I do not know how many people is pro and con, but by saying this is said this country is like, that's why I say it's better to say it's not really take side, but it's our responsibility to resolve this as a global citizen. And by the way, what is Ura mean?
Ura, it's
Ura.
Ura, yeah, Ura. It's actually it doesn't have a meaning, a word that has it's an emotional manifestation of readiness to fight, strong spirit, and joy, I would say. For instance, when the troops attack, they cry "Ura!" and they.
So it's not hooray, hurrah.
It's something like
Something
that.
like
hooray,
that.
hooray, yeah, hooray. Actually it's a very old, probably Sanskrit word that is a emotional manifestation of having strong spirit, readiness to fight, and joy in sometimes. When something good happens, you can say, cry, "Ura! Ura!" We are happy. We're happy.
So Ura is not a military direction,
No,
it's just an normal expression.
It's in just part of it is used by the military, but also in just ordinary life. Ura means we're happy. Something good happened. Ura, we're very happy.
Wow. But that's one Russian word that I think most Indonesians now understand.
Yes.
And become powerful. What do you expect from Indonesia as the G20 presidency?
To go on with the agenda that has been agreed upon, not to give in to the pressure applied by other countries, and we will support Indonesia.
Other comment about what happened with Ibu Kartini?
Well,
I'm just trying. Because I know you are famous now, face in Indonesia, because
Thank
you
you.
are female and ambassador.
Yeah, thank you. Well, in Russia we have also a holiday. It's on 8th of March. It was last month. It's the International Women's Day. Since the 60s in Russia, we've been celebrating it, and it's a national holiday when women and men don't work. It's a national holiday.
So it's more more rigorous there, more
Absolutely.
than our
Yes,
country.
Yes, and this day, all men, they give flowers to their wives, mothers.
So it's like Mother Day.
It's like a month, but it's it's bigger. All women, from babies to grandmothers, are celebrated, are congratulated this day, and it's a very big thing in Russia. It, Also, the root of this, it was, in the last century, no, not the last, but the 19th century, when women were fighting for their rights, and there were big demonstrations in some countries. So we've chosen this day as a symbol of the fight of women for their rights. But it became something more. It's like celebration of women empowerment, of women. And men show appreciation to their women for what they are doing, but I don't understand why just once a year. It should be.
So my wife and my mom will be happy to do that. Yeah.
But that's the tradition that has been there since the 60s, more than 60 years in our country. So we have a similar day, but it is officially recognized as a national holiday.
National holiday. I think Hari Kartini long time ago is also national holiday.
Yeah.
And every children in Indonesia, they have to wear probably batik like me, and probably wearing the female costume, the appropriate one, and that's what happened. I think the past, and still today run in this country. That's Ibu Kartini. And since I know you already posted twice as an ambassador,
Yes.
and 4 years already in Indonesia.
Yes.
How many years to come you serve?
It's hard to say. Usually our term of duty is from 3 to 5 years, but we don't have any official limits. It depends on the. I would love to stay more.
Because your most difficult task is about the G20.
Well, yeah,
in
but
Indonesia.
Not only G20. There's a lot of events.
Yeah. I know you gave a speech, a lot of talk.
Yes, but we're looking forward, of course, to the G20 summit, and we hope that our president can come.
Oh, you're looking forward. I think Indonesian, I don't know what happened in Jambon, that in the office of Ibu Retno, but everything is normally we can read in the newspaper, and it's the pulse normally can be predicted. That's why I think I have to end my discussion. I have to thank you very much for your coming. But if you want to have your closing speech to Indonesian.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And of course, in Russia, we see Indonesia as a very good friend and partner since the 60s. When President Sukarno visited our country 4 times.
4 times, yes.
4 times, yes. And since then, I love this. The song Rayon Plak-Plaka became very famous in Russia.
Can you sing that Rayon Plak-Plaka?
Lambai. I can sing you in Russian.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it has been translated into Russian. And in the 60s, most of the people in Russia knew this song. And in Russian, the title of the song is Indonesia, My Love. That just shows the feeling that Russians have
50,
towards...
60 Indonesian and Russia have very
close.
good relations.
But still, we have this feeling towards Indonesia. Of course, in the young people, they know Bali, and they just love Bali. But still, the feeling that Indonesians are our friends is there. So, and we cherish this relationship with Indonesia. Indonesia is very important for us. It's the key country among ASEAN, and we're strategic partners with ASEAN. Indonesia is one of the leading Muslim country, and we also have a large Muslim population. So Indonesia is very important in all sense, and I really hope that our relation will get stronger.
I think so. I hope so that Indonesia and Russia collaboration or cooperation will be strengthened, and also, of course, the problem of Russia and Ukraine should be resolved as soon as possible.
It will be resolved,
And
believe me.
I hope that my generation will have more peace and order in the global world. Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Oh, there is some people who want to ask a question from
Okay.
from YouTube Live or from Zoom chat.
Zoom chat.
Can you? I read the question, or they want to give a public. Who? Sorry.
Mr. Alex.
Oh, Alex. Pak Alex, I give the floor to you. Please just use.
You can chat.
Oh,
You can ask to chat.
oh, through chatting.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Oh. No, it should be. Mbak Nisa,
Yeah.
please make it louder. I can hear Pak Alex questions. Oh yes. So I'm not a journalist. So we're just doing this normally for friends, circle of friends, 4,000 people.
Small circle of friends.
Small circle, small circles. But because this issue is normally, yeah.
Yes, it was a very interesting and very what we call it remarkable discussion regarding this. I really appreciate Madam Excellency for being very fast or fast response in accepting our invitation. It's really efficient and very effective. And actually, I invited also some of my friends from Italy, from.
Do they have a question, Pak Alex? Pak Alex.
Yeah, my point that actually I just want to take a little bit of break about the situation. I mean, I just want to bring, what actually your impression about Indonesian people, because I know that you have been here for
4 years.
4 years.
wondering, what is your expression about Indonesian people? What do you find from Indonesia, from us, actually? Our character or how you can explain your permanent in 4 years in Indonesia? Thank you so much, Excellency.
Well, thank you so much for this question. I like Indonesia very much. I'm absolutely sincere and frank in saying that for me, when I came to Indonesia, it was love at first sight. I spent 28 years in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Laos, in Malaysia, but I'm really, really happy that I'm in Indonesia, and I like Indonesians very much. What I like about Indonesians, they are very open, they are very friendly, and at the same time very diplomatic, avoiding, conflicts and confrontation. And as I was raised up by a Thai nanny, and this is in my character too, so I really feel in Indonesia very comfortable, I would say, among Indonesian people. I try to travel a lot in Indonesia, and wherever I came, I always found Indonesians very nice, very friendly, very generous, actually. So I have the best impressions about Indonesian people, and I really want to stay more in Indonesia. Of course, it will depend on Moscow, how long I will be staying here, but I really enjoy my and I'm not being diplomatic right now. It's coming from my heart.
Thank you, Pak Alex. I think this your first is also the last question. I know some people send warm regards to Ambassador
Thank you.
Lyudmila thanks for interesting discussion from Italy. So some people also watching from other parts of the world.
Thank you so much.
Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you for
very much.
inviting me.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, this is a present from our organization, Ikatan Alumni for Habibie.
Thank you so much.
Just customer.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you want to discuss other issues,
Yes,
so
we can go to other room. So
No,
more
I mean,
info.
maybe
Okay.
next time. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Itu di YouTube kok.
Ini?
Kalau live bisa di record nggak sih?
Ini di record, Bu.
Matiin aja Nis.
Ini.